So this video walks through the AppAdvisor. Now the AppAdvisor is a Power Virtual Agent that's been put together, and it's designed to help advise or provide advice to your app maker community. So if your if your environment architecture is relatively complex and you have different environments for different types of app, then this might be interesting. So a quick demo of it. So we're walking through, so I've said hi to my bot, and one of the topics, or the topic that contains the AppAdvisor, is this one that asks me where to build an app. So the idea here is that we lead the user of the bot through I think 6 questions, and each one of these questions has a number of predefined answers. Each answer has a weight associated to it. And the first question is around the audience. So how many people is it that will use the app? So here I can say it might be for myself or a small team. I'm going to run through this a couple of times just to show you the differences in the advice. But for this one, we're going to look to steer this towards personal productivity. So the first question is around the number of people. Second one is about the frequency of that the data needs to be accessed or updated. So I can say it doesn't need to be updated frequently. Then we move on to another question around data that's about exclusivity. So do I only need to access the data through the app, or could I access it through other ways? So for example, SharePoint. So I could say that it's not exclusive. Then we talk about the amount of data. So is it going to be, are we going to be storing a lot of, or generating a lot of data? And the final 2 questions are around connectors. So do we need to connect to anything that is non-third party? So I could say no. And you could, you can change these questions. You could link, if you have a list of your approved connectors, you could provide a link to that. Then the last question is, do I need to connect to an on-premise data source? And I can say no. So custom, we're leading, asking questions custom connectors. So each one of these questions had a weight assigned to it, and the answers were passed to a Cloudflow, which has taken that and, based on a matrix, has advised me that I can build this app in the personal productivity environment. So let's run through this again. So this time I'm going to say where to build an app. This time it's going to be for a department. So I'm going to try and influence it slightly differently. I'm going to say that we're going to generate a fair amount of data, and the data should be exclusive to the app, and that we will be creating quite an amount of data. But we don't need to connect to any or third-party connectors, and we don't need to connect to an on-premise or custom data source. So again, the flow runs, and this time it's saying that I need to request access to a pro developer environment, and more importantly, would I like to start requesting access to that environment now? So I'm going to say no in this instance. I'm going to run through one last time and just see if we can get it to give us the last option. So we're going to say yes, no, yes. Right, so I'm just running through to try and get a different result so that I can show you the different types of environment that I have. So if you can see, this time I've got the power user environment. So in my tenant, in my demo tenant, I've followed a tiered risk implementation to environments. So I have personal productivity, so you can see that when I answered the questions saying that the app was very much geared towards myself or a small discrete number of users, it advised me to build the app in the personal productivity environment. And where it's now recommending that I build an app in a different environment, there is approval required. So I could say, actually, this time let's say yes, because being as I'm here and I'm planning to develop this app, I may as well start the request for access. So I'm going to have to provide the name of the app, which I might not know. So I'll just say undecided, then it's going to prompt me for the justification. Why do I need to build this app? So I'll just put in lorem ipsum, because I can't think of anything else to say there. And then some information about the app. What is it going to do? What data does it need access? So I build all of this up. I'm just going to type it out so I can. And essentially the approval process is now started, and this again is an additional flow that runs in the background to request access to the power user environment. So it's a way of kind of two things that this kind of implementation offers. One is that it advises users where to build the app, so it hopefully reduces the number of apps that are being built in the wrong environment. Two, it streamlines that process. So where before the app maker may have needed to go off and read some documentation around and then make a best guess around where to build their app, they might not be aware of all of the the approval processes that are kind of tied to it. And this could include things like service accounts. You could really extend this to cover any one of your access requests. So yeah, in terms of implementation, it's a simple Power Virtual Agent bot. There is one Cloudflow associated with it, and all the Cloudflow does is takes the answers that have been selected here and assigns essentially a score to each one of to whatever I've answered. So if I was to answer yes to data frequency, it might assign a score of like 2 or 3, and essentially the total number that the sum total of all of these answers is what drives the recommendation. So obviously a low score means it's low risk and it can be built in personal productivity. A higher score would indicate it needs to be built in a different environment. Okay, I hope that's useful. Thanks.